Good morning. Welcome to the Remarkable Relationship Show with Mercy Russell. My goal today is to bring a fresh perspective to you on all things related to how humans develop their individual brilliance while navigating the excitement, stickiness, and resistance in their relationships. In my 40 years of working as a psychotherapist, I have been continually amazed at the ways in which people overcome challenges. I hope to share my experience, insights, and to stimulate your thinking today. And today, my guests are Vance, Bynum, and Princess. I'm really delighted to have them here with me today. Vance and Princess have created a popular motivational health and fitness business in Cary, North Carolina. Sweat Sweet is the name of Princess's business. Vance, what's the name of your business?
Dreams to Reality Fitness.
Dreams to Reality Fitness. There we go. That just says it right there. So today we will talk about their personal journeys toward both fitness, and I want to talk about their entrepreneurship as a couple. This journey included building on personal strengths, setbacks, and resilience through COVID. Their message is simple and powerful. Making change can be tough. It takes a shift in mindset and a support network of accountability. You can do hard things, and the benefit will flow over into the rest of your life. That's my version of your message. So, good morning and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Great.
Good morning. So, I would really want to start today by sharing with our audience some background from each of you about your early years with fitness and health.
Absolutely.
Do you want to start, Vance?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, as it pertains to just health and fitness, I grew up playing sports. Played football in college, and then kind of getting into this space was, it was tougher because health and fitness and wellness wasn't necessarily heavily promoted in my house.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something that I learned on my own, through my own experiences, the value of it, the investment in it, and then the return, the ROI on investing into your health and wellness. So,
well, one piece of your, background that I think, I don't know, that seems important to me is that you played football in college, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you, during your college career, had an injury.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I've seen this with a number of athletes before, and professional athletes. What influence did that injury have on you in terms of thinking about yourself as an athlete and then your learning going forward about health?
I feel like just with anybody else, that injury really woke me up to the process of saving yourself, and like no one's going to do it for you. I suffered a depressive episode during that time. I was medicated for about 6 weeks during that time. And it really revealed to me a lot of different things, and the importance of thinking for yourself, because a lot of athletes get injured and don't have a backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have the awareness to start to search for who they really are beyond the football identity. I mean, when you're playing football in college, you're a god. You're very well taken care of. And then to kind of go back to a regular life can be tough. So really not diving into the medicine, surgery side of it, and kind of just changing my life overall was everything.
And you took a pivot so that, and this kind of gets into your career also, and I think some background for what you're doing now. And so what did you do then when you finished college?
So during college, I studied pre-med
Mm-hmm.
well. And so I got the opportunity to experience the emergency room for a year as a scribe, and just seeing kind of how people don't care until it's a little too late, or until a diagnosis. Like, people don't change until it's too uncomfortable. So seeing that, it helped me. I recalled on that once I started to do my pivot, from just kind of getting off of the hamster wheel that everyone else gets on once they accept the life that everyone else is doing and comfortable doing. It was just like, you recovered your knee from, this, you can do anything.
Mhm. Right. And so then, just a little background on your, sort of career, and just sort of, can you, tell the audience how you started out professionally?
Absolutely. So during that time when I was studying pre-med, I decided to look into personal training certification, and I've been connected to NASM since 2012. And we kind of added on different things as we've been doing it, nutrition coaching, performance enhancement, different things like that kind of helped transition to, because I got caught up working at banks. So I was at JP Morgan Chase for 2 years, doing really well. And it was enough to kind of rock me to sleep about the purpose of my life. And then I started working at Spectrum as well. And funny enough, I don't even watch TV. So once we did that long enough, and we kind of saw that like our purpose was calling us, it was almost like forcing us to take that huge pivot into co-preneurship.
Yeah. So I want to move over to you, Princess, a little bit, so we can talk about your background, because now what you shared with me was that you and Vance met working at JP Morgan. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So that's where you met. But I want to hear about your background with fitness. You shared that a little bit with me, but also with business too, because you have a really interesting mix of abilities and backgrounds. So I want you to share that.
Sorry about that. Thank you. So yes, we did meet at JP Morgan Chase. So I will say that is what kind of sparked me or made me get back into working out, because I had definitely taken some time off from it. I never really locked in to it like long term before then. Like, I was kind of that person who wanted to go to the gym or prepare for a thing, like I have an event to prepare for or something. And even before that, I worked at the YMCA and I had a free membership, so I definitely took full advantage of that. But back then I was more so into the fitness classes. So I shared with you, like, I really enjoyed going to Zumba classes and yoga and different things like that. I didn't know too much about weightlifting or strength training back then. So it really was, kind of easy for me to just get into a class and get in the back or in the front if I was confident enough, and kind of follow whatever the instructor was doing. So that was what I did for some time. When I met Vance, I kind of started going with him to the gym, and he introduced me to, weightlifting. So I had already gotten into like the squats with the squat racks and stuff before him, but I think with him is when I really started to, start to train upper body. I didn't think that was a big deal for women, kind of like a lot of females now. We just don't think that we have to do that portion, but we absolutely do if we want, a well-rounded physique. It's important. So he kind of introduced me to that side of it, and just having just a full program, not just training lower body. And so, yeah, that's how that portion took on or carried out. While I was working at JP Morgan Chase, I also had my own business on the side, Sweet Peas, Cupcakes, and Treats. So I did, I was baking, all of the things. I made pies, cakes, you name it. I did several events, from baby showers to receptions, birthday parties, just so many things. I was making hundreds of cupcakes a day. And it was a very good, income, a source of income. I probably could have not done JP Morgan Chase, but, I've always been that person to kind of do a lot. And I did, because I was good at it and I enjoyed both. So yeah.
And you
that's
also, as part of that, you were active on social media.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And so that is really how my presence on social media started, was with bacon. Because I was posting that, and I was making my way around. I lived in Volusia County at the time, but I would go to Seminole County. So that's kind of like Sanford, Florida. I would go all the way out to like Orlando, Daytona Beach. I was delivering cupcakes to people.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that if they weren't coming to me to pick them up, because they did have that option as well. But I had a really big following from that alone. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that when we talked, because the thing that I think was really key was that not only were you posting on social media, but you stayed engaged with
Right.
your readers, people who commented. You really took the time to engage with them and to comment back. I think this is a big, it's sort of a big step up in the use of social media, is the way you really developed relationships with people.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. And it's very important. I've seen both sides of it, even now, like in my business now. I've seen it scale back some. So like when I'm not as active on social media, you may lose some views, or you may not get the engagement that you want anymore because you're not engaging anymore. And it's not because you don't want to. The time is just different. Especially when you wear different hats, you're kind of being pulled in so many different directions where it's hard to kind of be present and show up. But it reveals how important it is for you to stay connected, because people are looking for people who are going to engage with them, and who aren't just going to post about themselves and kind of say, oh, well, I did this and this worked for me. They don't care what you did and what worked for you. They want to know how you can help them. So really important for you to be able to connect and say, well, I did this, and okay, this is your problem, so I have this solution for that problem. Because if you can't tell them how you can fix their problem, then they're not going to engage with you.
Right. So just, to move ahead toward the next steps you took that, that led, or that led to your starting a gym, because you also were posting. I want to kind of go back to Vance a little bit about this, but I do want to hear, because you posted your workouts too.
Yeah.
And when you talk about people wanting to know what you did, it was not just how you bake cupcakes, right?
Yes,
it was how you built it. It was how you built, a nice physique, or whatever, the goals would have been for people.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am. So are you wanted me to expand on it?
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you expand on it, and then we'll give Vance a chance to talk.
So with that, so same thing. In the beginning, I really was just posting me, like my journey. It was kind of like my diary. I would just post my workouts for the day, and people started to ask me questions like, why are you doing this? Or they would inbox me and want to know. And I think that that's really what made my engagement pick up there, because I was responding to them and I was explaining to them why I was doing whatever exercise and what it was targeting. And then the importance of different types of training. Like I would, go off on why we should do cardio, and strength, the difference between strength training and cardio and things like that. And so people just being able to get that knowledge and see that I wasn't just going through the motions, like I actually knew what I was doing and why I was doing it too. I think that made a really big difference as well, because that's when I started to get a lot of inquiries about training too. So, yeah.
And I'm just going to put a little plug in here. We'll put it in the show notes, but check out her website and you'll get the full. It's a beautiful website, first of all. And secondly, then you'll get the real feel for, for just, I think your presence and how it, and how it comes across. I think it's really beautiful. So Vance, so you're at the bank, and then you go to Spectrum, and you guys are together at this point, right? And you're working out. And so tell me a little bit about, what happened next.
So I'm at Spectrum, and we're working out. I guess at that time, like any other couple. So if people are struggling with this, like it's okay. But we're in a relationship, so working out together is kind of it's
tough.
It's different.
It's different.
Because you're always go ahead.
Explain.
Okay.
Because you're always together and like interacting. So like the moment like you try to apply pressure in the gym, it's like, well, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but because we have a great relationship, being able to communicate indirectly in other ways. So like just being there whenever she asks questions or whatever the case is, or a spot. That's kind of how we built a rapport for her to finally let me kind of like push her workouts to the next level when we work out together. So if you're a couple out there and you can't work out with each other, just kind of stay the course and be soft with each other.
Absolutely.
And that'll helps alleviate that portion. So I'm at Spectrum, and I'm working out at a gym consistently. We kind of built the gym family around us, having that network. And then people are just like reaching out to me about training. Can you show me how to do this? Can you tell me why you're doing that? Can you blah, 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 same thing, right? And then I actually started to take on some clients during that time. And so I was still working. And then I was in like this headspace of, I'm top 3 in the company for a year and a half, making them, millions, I'm sure. And I said, if I could do that for myself, if I could do that for them, I could do it for myself.
You were you in sales? Is that what you were doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was doing really well, enough to distract you from your purpose, for sure. And around the middle of 2018, I met a good friend of mine who ended up being my business partner when I opened my first location. But around June, July, I said I can't do this anymore. So I just started looking at places on top of places on top of places on top of equipment on top of all these different things. And then so around September, I just stopped going to work. I just couldn't wake up and argue about TV any longer. And I put a lot of pressure on myself to say that I'm opening by the beginning of 2019, hell or high water. And we did just that. A huge facility, 10,000 square feet. It was an old O2 Fitness. And it was the time of our lives, probably. I think Princess was still working during that time.
I probably no. By the time we were moving into the gym, I had resigned from my job as well. I was working I think at that point I was at True Green, right? Yeah. I think I was at True Green. Yes, because I hadn't started at Duke until later. So yeah, I was at True Green, and I resigned as well once Vance opened the gym, and that was when I started my certification. And I got that taken care of then too.
And so, I mean, I had.
But this was an interesting. I also want you to talk about the business model you had, because it was interesting. I didn't really understand, I don't think, until I talked to you.
So we set up. It was a huge setup, but similar to a barbershop. We wanted to have trainers come in and be their own business, right? And for lack of a better explanation, pay booth rent. So you just pay based off of your usage or whatever the case is. And so the model was set up for about 15 to 20 trainers. We had more than enough space, more than enough equipment. And it was awesome just to get to see all of the different personalities, training styles, energies, kind of synchronize or be different, and it all be okay. Was awesome.
Yeah. So then you opened January 2019?
Yes, January 1st, 2019. We definitely hit our deadline on the nose. And we closed November 22nd, 2019.
The same year. Now, Princess, you were full-time at the gym then too, or you were also working?
Not full-time. I was full-time at the gym by the time we opened the gym. I started my search. I started my search when you started the gym. Well, when you found the space, when he solidified that with Troy, that was when I actually started my search. I think I got my very first client in February of that year. So I had my search by then.
And so go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead. I want to hear you talk more about it.
So kind of around like July, August, we could kind of see the trend. So we started to have meetings and different things like that about potentially moving on from that business and that business model.
What was the trend that you were seeing?
Just not enough business. And because it was a kind of a shared thing, you need other businesses within that business to be successful,
right?
And lucrative. And once you start filling the gap financially, it was already my life savings. So once you start filling the gap, you kind of have to cut it off, and that's your baby, at that point. So
I think the biggest difference or the biggest thing with it was that Vance and a few others were the only ones that were in it full time. Mostly everyone else that had signed on or become trainers, they had something full time already, and they were very well established in their own lanes outside of that, but they were also all certified as well, so they could be trainers, but that wasn't priority for them. And not that that's an issue, but it started to show up that was an issue because we needed people, right? We needed people that were able to be there to kind of help carry that, because it was, like he said, a very huge space. It was 10,000 square feet. And so that overhead matched that. And to not have, to have only 3 out of the 20 that we expected to have to fill that space, paying on that and things, it caught up with us. It did.
Yeah. If you were going to do it again, would you do anything differently? I mean, obviously you have another model now. You've taken a couple turns. We're going to talk about that, but just looking back at that model, would you do something differently?
I would sign full-time trainers. If you want to take the island, you burn your boats. And whenever you get into, like, there's a saying that a warrior doesn't go into battle expecting to go home. You fight a little differently when you're fully vested. When it's everything. So my world crashed for sure in November. High expectations. I mean, it was huge. It was big. And it was everything that I had during that time. So definitely the only thing that I would change is making sure that we all burn our boats. And I mean, I know so much more now, so I'm truly grateful for it. For the experience, I needed it. But that's what I do differently.
So, Princess, is there anything you want to add about that particular period? We're going to take a break soon, but I just you were in there the whole time.
I experienced the same. It was definitely tough to watch. And by that time, right before we even got word that was going to be the turn that we were making, that we were closing, I actually found out that I was pregnant. So I started looking for work anyway. So it worked out. That's when I started with Duke Health. But just even still watching Vance with that, like, I knew that was his purpose. I knew that that's what he was passionate about. But us losing that gym, it really did. It almost broke him. It really did. He was ready to give up. He was discussing going back to corporate world, and I knew he didn't want to do that. I knew if he did that, he would be miserable. So we had to kind of talk about our options there. I think when initially we stayed at that same building, because there was another gym going on upstairs, XL Fitness. They had a different plan, so wasn't really like a conflict of interest or anything, because they were more so fitness classes. We weren't in that world yet. We were just personal trainers, and I think they had one other.
Yeah.
And so we went there with them for a little bit, but Vance was still, he had gotten used to having his own thing. And so that's when we moved over to the storage unit. And
I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
Because that is another really, that's a really important and very intriguing, step in your journey, particularly because, you had this big plan. It didn't work out. You feel like you've fallen flat, but it turned out to be, but you pivoted again. I love that word, pivoted.
It was a humbling experience for sure.
Yeah. But then we're going to talk about what came after that. Because I think it's really important, for our audience to think about and to hear is how these are the turns that get us where we want to go. So we're going to take a little break now. This is Mercy Russell with the Remarkable Relationship Show. I'm here today with Vance Bynum and Princess. We're talking about their career as motivational health and fitness professionals. And we'll be back after the break.
All right, all clear.
Alternative Talk 1150 is your sports organization's safe bet when it comes to airing your team's games. Our players are all seasoned professionals when it comes to sports programming. Imagine your games being heard on local radio. Your team deserves the MVP treatment. Call 425-653-1150 today to learn how affordable and fun it is to broadcast your games on the radio. Call 425-653-1150 and make your next season something special. That's 425-653-1150.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment. Email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Make it a great day. Keep your dial on Alternative Talk 1150.
All right, stand by.
Hello, this is Mercy Russell with the Remarkable Relationship Show. I'm here today with Vance Bynum and Princess, and we're talking about their career as motivational health and fitness professionals and their relationship as co-preneurs, entrepreneurs together. So we, just before the break, we were talking about their first business together, and it's closing in November of 2019. And so I would really love the two of you to talk about what you did next at that. It was sort of a dark moment. And, just how did you deal with that? And what was the next step you took?
So that was a very different time when we made that transition over. And what?
Yeah.
So, okay. So this portion, we have never talked about with anyone. We might have to. It was really coming out of a very tough spot. It was a lot. So we made that move into that storage unit 2020. I think that you
at the end of 2019, like December 7th. I remember.
Is when you got the storage. Now, Princess, is what you're hesitating about was just to, can I say simply that you had some personal challenges too?
Yeah, there was
that were not related to the business.
Yes, absolutely. It was just a really, really hard time for both of us. And it really seemed like it was something that we weren't going to be able to come out of. You can speak for a while.
There were challenging times, and it really kind of brought us closer together. And also, looking back on it, it really kind of shaped us for where we are now. So we look back on it with joy and celebration, because it's really what made us.
Vance, what would you say was the key to how you got through that period as a couple?
Talking, communication, listening, patience, understanding, because when you're frustrated about something externally, it's so easy to project that or misread things that are said because of your emotions. And so kind of it really forced us to learn ourselves individually and together. And I think during that time, we were all we had. So it wasn't like it was just different. Our connection just kind of blew up during that time. And it kind of just went further than I like you, you like me, beautiful, you look good, right? It was, we really found each other. All the stuff that we had been kind of masking throughout our relationship, we just kind of chose to say, hey, look, this is this part of me. This is this part of me. This is this part of me. I always tell people, like, if you're going through anything in your relationship, give people the opportunity to show up for you, because us going through that time and being the people that we showed up for, it is why we're good forever.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time, I think, kind of masking a lot of what we were going through. And so like when Vance says that it was everything that he had, like it really was everything that he had. We were homeless for some time, actually. That would even take us back to Trainer's Gym. Our first gym that we opened, we didn't have a home for a very long time. So we stayed in a lot of hotels, and it was just a lot, because like I said, during that time that we were still at Trainer's Gym, before I even found out that we were closing the gym, I found out that I was pregnant, and then it was an ectopic pregnancy. So we spent a lot of time in and out of the hospital trying to figure out what was going on or what was going wrong with that. And then just trying to find a new space for us to continue to work in, because to be honest, before I started working at Duke, he was the main breadwinner. He made most of our money training as a personal trainer. I mean, I made some, but I didn't have nearly as many clients as he did. Yeah, at that time I had about 3 or 4. Yeah, I had about 3 or 4 clients, and he may have had 15. He hadn't even made it to as many clients as he has now. So I think what you and I touched on yesterday was the biggest piece, that it was nothing. We found out that losing that gym, it had nothing to do with the building. it was us. Like we were the piece, the important piece was us. Because if we didn't have the client base that we have, if we hadn't already built the rapport that we had with the people that we knew, we wouldn't have had anybody to follow us and to go with us to the next location and to really create a living for us, because that storage unit and us blowing up in that unit is what made us be able to go into our next space. And, you know, we got our first place.
Wait a minute, don't skip over the storage units.
Okay.
We just got to have that vision. I just love it, really. I mean, and this is all around the time that COVID's coming into the scene, right? But can you describe, like, you took your business and opened classes in storage units, right? You started with one, and then.
So at first it wasn't even my classes. My classes came a lot further down. I think we had to be in the storage unit for almost a year before I started classes. He had his client base and I still had my clients. I was working at Duke full time. But I was doing personal training part-time. So I would have my few clients before I went into work, because I didn't have to go to work until 8 o'clock. And then I would get off at 6, and then I would have a few more clients when I got off. But Vance did that all day. He would be at the storage unit from the time he got there and till he came and got me from work. So like, it was really so many moving pieces. We were just all over the place. We had one car. So he would take me to work. He would go back to the gym, have his clients, bring me lunch, go back to the gym, have more clients, pick me up from work. We would go back to the gym and have more clients. And then we would go check into a hotel somewhere, or sometimes sleep in the car.
So December 2019, we locked into the storage unit, and I trained nonstop around the clock. So during this time also, I was prepping for a show. So my first.
Can you just explain what kind of show it was for our audience?
My first physique bodybuilding competition. It was set to be on my 30th birthday. So March 14th, 2020.
Oh God.
Right. So I'm on the treadmill doing my last cardio set. And I mean, I've been prepping throughout the times that she's talking about this entire time, ectopic pregnancies, everything. And so I think the competition was on that Saturday. That Thursday, I'm getting off of the treadmill and I get an email like that it's not happening. COVID shutting the campus down. So it was really kind of like punch after punch after punch. I just couldn't see us quitting though. So during this, to rewind a little bit, December, I took every piece of equipment that I had already had, right? That I sold most of it. And then I took what I needed, what I found crucial, and we started to build out the storage unit, right? And then I purchased another storage unit and I put more equipment in it. And they were all adjacent. So it was a straight line through. And then we got so big that I got another one. And we just trained. I mean, it's climate controlled. It was the first of its kind. And it really started because during this time I was like, I need a place to work out. Like I need to work out alone because I might start crying. Like, so it was just kind of a place where I got to face myself. And then because I was still training at my previous building. And then one day I had a client ask me, they're like, hey, can I train with you? I'm like, I'm kind of doing something right now. And I was working out at the storage unit. They're like, okay, now come. And I was like, cool, yeah, sure, come on. And then so that's just, it just blew up from there. And I got a lot of questions and inquiries like how, why, when, where. And I was like, it started personal, just like everything else, just like my purpose. And then kind of just permeated into everything else.
Yeah. And
so,
go ahead. No,
go ahead. No, you go ahead, Princess.
I was just gonna say that I think that we were just really blessed to have met the people that we did there at that storage unit, because that's actually the storage unit that we occupied before we even opened the first storage unit there to train with our things, all of our belongings, but we didn't have a place at that time. So I think just us having that already with them, that connection, we had already been with them for about a year or so. Just keeping our things in there. Yeah, it was there. And then he opened the ones downstairs, and I think as the clients started to come in, we were able to afford another one, and we saw that we needed another space. So he got another unit, and then he ended up getting the one right behind that. So it was like 3 in a row, but it was just beautiful. It worked there for we were there for what, 2 years, maybe
a year and a half.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
At that storage unit.
And curiously, so that was also at the onset of COVID, when I bet a lot of gyms were closed.
Definitely.
So you actually filled a need for people, right?
Yes.
Because you didn't have, you were free to, provide your services because it was a unique setting. And in COVID, everything was up in the air, right? Nobody was expecting anything normal, right? I would just been grateful to go,
Even myself, I wouldn't have worked out at home during COVID. I mean, that's a tough ask. I mean, I like just sweating on my carpet. The idea of it is like, no.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
So, but there were a lot of different things coming out during that time, like the National Guard is going to be on the street to make sure only essential personnel and different stuff like that. And so every day we're answering questions about, my clients like, hey, are you still training? I'm like, every day I open my eyes. If we can, we're gonna get after it, because nothing exists without you.
Right.
So not even COVID. And the one way to boost your immune system is physical activity.
Exactly.
So we just kind of, it was tough, but we did it.
Well, we still have more to talk about and not a ton of time. So let's just move on now. Tell us about your current business.
So we are now at a storefront in Cary. It is the Old Endurance Edge, the Stick Factory Cary. We both train full-time now, no other job. And we have fitness classes now also. So we started, I started Hourglass classes November of 2019, I believe. 2020, I'm sorry, 2020. And from there, that's where a lot of my clients started to come in and pick up. They would start with the class first and then want to transition into one-on-one sessions, just personal training, because they wanted to have more of my attention instead of sharing me with the class. And now this new year, we've also introduced 2 other classes. So we have bands, which was bands fit. So we focus on core strength, glutes, a little bit of everything in that class. We have a choreo camp class now. Vance conducts a
choreo. Don't jump over that. Explain.
Sorry. Yes. Choreo camp. That is with Deja. She is certified K through 12. She's also a dance teacher at a middle school. She's been with me training personally for a little over a year now. So
choreo is choreography. So this is a dance choreography class. So that I think that's really important, because it just shows the breadth of what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And it's
choreography. She's doing full dances, all of it from top to finish. She's doing all the floor work. She's very talented. Vance does some strength training classes on Saturdays, circuit Saturdays. That's a little bit more advanced. It's for people who aren't going to shy away from the heavier weight.
We call it Circuit Saturday, Iron Woman Camp. And it's circuit strength style. It's a push, and it's meant for expansion. So it's a I'm
going to mention right now that the reason we're all talking today is that my dear friend Leslie started coming to your classes. I mean, I know you get up at 4. I think she's getting up close to 4 to get there. She works at Duke also. And at any rate, she's been having such a great time. I know I've seen pictures of her in your band class, and yeah, she's I keep thinking, wanting to say, jonesing to get on here to talk to me, to have an interview for a whole hour about the benefits of what she's been doing with you. So I just want to mention that I've had this really personal endorsement and seen videos of your work with people. So
she's great.
Yeah, but such great spirit. Everybody's having such a great time. You can tell.
She's been training with me coming up on a year.
A year. Yeah.
She is her year next week.
Mm-hmm. She started with personal training. She actually just worked the courage to join a class. So she just started coming to classes in January.
Oh, okay. She didn't tell me that.
For about a year. She sees them 3 or 4 times a week.
I'll on Dr. Leslie, because I have a lot of people who call and just like cancel a session. She absolutely will not do it. She's going to reschedule. She's going to tell me she's 20 minutes behind, but she gets her stuff done. And it's something to be modeled for even younger people, because
absolutely
she's super resilient. I mean, we went from falling and different stuff like that to her joining the band's class and picking up golf randomly. Like that's
right. Yeah. I think of her as a natural athlete. So because of what I've seen her do, but
she's very good.
Okay. So I want to, we only have about not even 10 minutes left, but I want to, talk more about your experience. We've talked about it somewhat as a couple, but also now working together as a couple. It's not uncommon that couples will start a business together, and it doesn't always go so smoothly. And I think it's in the field of family business, it's really important, I think, for people to have a chance to think about what makes a successful co-preneurship is a word that I've heard other people use, when you get into, you do what you've done.
I think it's just speaking to your strengths and to each other's strengths, not getting so caught up on like the gender roles that people like to, place on you, but just showing up when you can for one another, and where you can, and doing the things that you're really good at doing. And like there may be something that Vance can't do one day and I may need to show up for him, and vice versa, but just being very supportive and flexible and showing grace. And what else?
I think people forget that the reason you're in a relationship is for service, myself included. So like,
wait, don't jump over that. Talk more about that.
Just like, let's say for instance, Princess loves to leave the light on in the hallway. Right. So and we have stairs. So she'll come all the way up the stairs and she'll leave the light on. She'll jump in bed. And I'm like, are you going back downstairs? And she'll be like, cut the light off. She'll be like, you're closer, go cut the light off. And I'm like, all right, so this is the 4th time this happened this week. So and then I reprogram my mind and be like, I would love to cut the light off for you. If you weren't here, I don't know what I would do. Cutting the light off is the easiest thing I could do. And it becomes easier over and over again to do the same thing. Like, yeah, let me help you set up with this. Let me do this, right? And then in those moments when I sincerely can't show up, it's easier for her to understand and move with grace, because showing up at least 80 to 85% of the time.
So when you say the purpose of a relationship is service, that's what you're talking about, being of service to each other.
Right. Absolutely. Or being able to rise when someone else can't. And so, because sometimes he might be at 70% and I might be at 30%. You just have to understand that you may have a good day and I may have a good day, and vice versa. We're not always going to be on the same page as far as moods or emotions or things, but we have to give each other grace, and we have to understand that we're both running businesses, that one of us is going to need the other sometime throughout the day. So, we kind of want to stay on a positive note, so that we are able and willing to show up for one another when that time comes. Vance has so many moving pieces throughout his day. especially with him having a client base of about 60 now. It's a lot of that I may need to do on my end. So that could be washing our clothes for the week and making sure that our meals are prepared for the week, or, taking care of the kids and different things like that. But for me, I have to be okay with doing those things, because even though I have a lot more now in my business and it has picked up a lot since 2020, he's still our breadwinner. He makes the most money. He brings in the most because he has a huge client base. And so I have to be able to, show up for him and make sure that he has the things that he needs to go, act out accordingly through his days, making sure that he's nourished and that he has time to get his clothes together or put his clothes on, that he has underwear even ready to put on.
I was just saying, being able to run out of compression shorts, and then they magically refill in the drawer.
That sounds good to me.
It means the world to me and my schedule. So it makes it easier to show up for her.
Yeah. And so we only have about 5 minutes left, but I do want to say, we didn't really dive deep into this, but even in terms of your business skills, I think, we've alluded to the fact that you both come with business experience, and you complement each other. There's the marketing, social media aspect. There's the hardcore financial. I mean, someone who's worked in banking and sales, they know how to get it done, sort of on the bigger level. I think it's having the right person in the right job in a family business that's also important, right? In addition to the boundary between the work and the personal life and how you manage those two. That's a big balance to do. But I want to take the last few minutes to see what it is you'd like to say to the audience. Just if there's any other message you want to get through. We have a couple minutes left, and I want to give that to you.
Don't quit. Don't give up on your dream. If it's ever kept you up at night, get after it and stay after it and go through whatever it brings to you, because in life, you're always going to a storm or through a storm. And if you can kind of learn to find peace within that, you can really do anything. A lot of people stop at the first punch or the second punch or the third punch. Really, like I was already committed to being punched. So I learned to fall in love with the punches.
Fell through it. Like you really have to be okay with falling and getting back up and starting again, because if Vance would have given up when we lost our first gym, imagine how many people wouldn't have been helped by now. Like we've reached so many people since then. And had he went ahead and, just said, okay, well, I lost everything and, I'm just going to go back to the corporate world, then we wouldn't be here now. And there wouldn't be, so many lives that have been changed for the better at this point. So he's right. You have to keep getting after your dream, whatever it looks like, no matter how bad it looks. If it's something that you really want, then you're not going to give up just because it didn't work out the first time. You're going to learn from those experiences. You're going to go forward with whatever changes you need to make in order to make it work. You're going to learn and unlearn whatever it is to make you make it happen.
I feel like a lot of people have habits, and quitting is a habit, or not believing in yourself is a habit. Like you should seek risk. You should avoid living in safety, and you deserve to turn your dreams into a reality at some point in your life.
You should get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you're going to be comfortable and you're not going to grow from being comfortable. There's only growth in you being uncomfortable.
All right. So I think we have to stop on that note. But I think what's so important is to see all the benefits that have flown into people's lives. And that, maybe next time we can talk about that in terms of taking these efforts. And so I want to say this is Mercy Russell with the Remarkable Relationship Show. And today my guests have been Vance, Bynum, and Princess of Cary, North Carolina. And they've been sharing with us their motivational health and fitness profession and business and mission and purpose. And it's been a really, I want to thank you so much for your generosity and sharing your story and your wisdom with us. And we'll be putting contact information for Vance and for Princess in the show notes. So please reach out to them, and I'm sure that they can help you in any way that they can.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. This is Mercy Russell with the Remarkable Relationship Show.